Truly from On God's Team. And again, I hope you're on God's team too. A long time ago, I wrote an allegory and talked about parents like me, probably like you, that sometimes feel like you're a little bit floundering and struggling, or kids that are lost. You just can't relate to them, or they're just not working with you at all. So I wrote an allegory called The Hummingbird. It's about that. And I'd like to read it to you now, the major part of it. The hummingbird. Vibrating airwaves resounded on the trees below, gently pulsating their leaves. The wings of the hummingbirds whirred like lightning. The large hummingbird flock was returning north for the warm summer months. Hummer, seventh from the front, fourth in from the right, eyed her special tree and veered down from the others. Here she had built her nest and raised her young in the past, and she was returning. Hummer inspected last year's nest. The seasons had taken their toll, and it would require major rebuilding. She set right to work. Hummer first gathered twigs from beneath some nearby fir trees. She inserted these in the weakened foundation. Then, flying over to a nearby lake, she scooped up some moss from the north edge of some boulders and stuffed them along with fresh young apple leaves between the twigs. A bit more of this and that, and her nest was sturdy and complete. Hummer felt peaceful and fulfilled, knowing she'd done her best to prepare for the coming family, and she finished none too soon. That very evening, she felt a compelling bodily motion that would soon produce tiny eggs in her nest. It was hard work, but by the time the sun was rising in the morning, her work was complete. 4 tiny yellow eggs lay under Hummer's warm, feathery body. Things are smooth from here on out, thought Hummer. My home is built among friends, and my family's on the way. A week passed, and almost 2. What a life of hope and joy. Nothing could go wrong. Until the crows. They flew in that night with a vengeance. They had drank some poisoned water the night before, and instead of bringing refreshment on their flight, it had made them into angry, spiteful monsters. Hummer had never seen them attack before. She screamed in pain as one ripped at her head, and she felt anguish of heart as one of her precious eggs was torn open. Her nest, too, was dislodged and left tilting precariously on the branch. Wounded and in pain, Hummer cried out to her creator, "Why? My life was so perfect, and now what is left?" Throughout the night, with an aching heart and body, Hummer took turns sitting very carefully on her eggs and flurrying out together reinforcing twigs and weed stems to steady the nest. Friends came to help too, and she was grateful. Her hope had taken a beating, but she was starting to get on course again. A few days later, 2 of her remaining eggs began to crack open, and by the next evening, 3 healthy, hairless baby birds lay with mouths gaping open, waiting for their mommy, Hummer, to fill them with berries and bugs. The trio grew quickly. Soft feathers soon formed, and the little birds became almost as big as their mother. They tried to stretch their wings a bit, although they certainly couldn't fly. Then the big wind. It was totally unexpected. It blew and blew and blew. The nest, weakened from the attack of the crows, was smashed to the ground. Hummer's family was now open to attack from all sides. The children were not yet able to fly on their own. Their home lay shattered on the ground, and predators were lurking in the shadows. "Oh, Creator," she cried, "this is not fair. I've given my best, all you have given me knowledge to do. You have power over the wind and can protect me from my enemies, but you have allowed the worst to happen." And Hummer wept and wept. Her children nestled at her side. Friends flew to see her, but many of them were hurt too. It was a long time before Hummer stirred. Her mind in a daze, she didn't even notice that one of her children had wandered away. When she realized he was missing, more fear gripped her heart. Afraid of leaving the remaining two, she only dashed out for a moment at a time in search for her baby. But he was gone and probably dead. What was left? Emptiness, sadness, aloneness. Why continue on? But a flicker remained in Hummer's heart, a flicker of hope. Hope placed there by the Creator. He had loved and cared for her in the past. Though her world was falling apart, he remained. Her children, almost on their own now, still needed her counsel and love, and there would be more little ones in the future. Several of the other hummingbirds had suffered even worse losses than she. They needed a friend to listen, encourage, and care. She could be that friend, and she was. With the warm season finally nearly over, the parents and youngsters began to feel the urge to take for the skies. Before that day arrived, the Hummer flew out one morning to a secluded meadow beyond the lake to spend time alone, to think, dream, and plan. As she sat in the stillness, her Creator came down to meet her. He shared with her how she was the delight of his heart, and how his love for her was more than she could ever dream. Joy flooded her being. The big day arrived, and the formation of hummingbirds began to take shape. The strongest flyers needed to be in front to pave the airwaves for the others. Hummer hung back, waiting for her position. Another bird suddenly made his way through the flock. "Mother, mother," he called. It was her long-lost son. Still walking with a limp, he explained how he'd been badly wounded, but taken in by another mother who had room in her nest. He had yearned for his own mother and now was joined to his family again at last. Radiant chirpings filled the air. Hummer saw that the Creator had not forgotten her child either. He loved them all. Suddenly, Hummer felt herself being pushed toward the front of the formation. "You are strong, Hummer. You can withstand storms. You care about us, and you won't let the flock down," the other hummingbirds chorused. And she felt the Creator's nod of approval in her heart. The flight began. Hummer helped to lead the way through the difficult trip ahead. Her determination, love, and strength, and most of all, her humble dependence on her beloved Creator, helped lead the flock on through the skies. There's a scripture that wraps this up. It's Romans 5:3-5. We can be full of joy here and now, even in our trials and troubles. These very things will give us patience and endurance. This, in turn, will develop a mature character. A character of this sort produces a steady hope, a hope that will never disappoint us. So, in closing, remember, if you're a parent and you feel like you're messing up, God is on your side. He never gives up on you, and He totally loves you, and He'll give you wisdom. And some of your kids that might be out there not doing so well, God's eyes never leave your children. He's watching over them all the time. And one of these days, I believe they're going to be coming back and saying, Mom, Dad, it's me, hi. And things will turn out so much better than you've been worried about. So remember, stay on God's team, keep trusting Him. He's for you all the way. See you next time. Bye-bye.